If you want to stand out amongst the crowd and get ahead of 99% UX designers, you need to understand and do something that 99% of them don't. Most UX designers follow the crowd, but the top 1% lead the way. In this video, I'll take you through my 6-pointer checklist that makes all the difference between an average UX designer and a great one. And on top of that, I will share you a list of common mistakes that many beginner UX designers make. So without wasting any further time, let's get started. Before you move ahead, I want to tell you about our latest learning website, howtoprom.in, where you can get free AI resources, roadmaps, and step-by-step guides that will teach you everything that you need to know about tools like ChatGPT and Midjourney. In fact, you can also know about my offline masterclasses, AI courses, ebooks, and communities all in one place. Visit howtoprom.in to start learning and upskilling yourself. You will find all the relevant resources and the link to download the PDF in description. If you're here for the first time, make sure you click on subscribe and hit the bell icon so that you never miss an update. So here is the 6-part checklist. On number 1, make sure that you rely on documentation and not videos and courses to upskill in life. I see a lot of designers saying that, oh, if Figma has launched a new feature, we'll probably wait for a YouTuber or maybe my YouTube channel to come up with the video, or maybe they will buy a course. Folks, understand that anytime a company releases a new feature, they don't have the bandwidth to come up with videos and courses instantly, but they always release supporting documentation. Now, I'm not just talking about Figma. Even if you pick a tool like ChatGPT or Midjourney, even Photoshop or Adobe After Effects, the smartest brains who know a lot about these tools don't really make YouTube videos or sell courses. They actually write documentation. So as a designer, if you build a habit of reading and if you build a habit of going through documentation and then learning from official documentation, you will always be ahead of everybody else. But again, please make sure that whatever it is that you're learning, step number 1, you document it on a tool like Notion. I have already uploaded a video that explains how you can use Notion to document your learnings. And then step number 2, you need to implement what you're doing. Specifically when it comes to Figma, Figma has its own website where they release documentation. I'll put the links in the description. But apart from that, they have a best practices guide as well. That also is extremely valuable. And apart from that, they regularly upload their YouTube videos, which is under the category of office hours. I think if you've been following my channel, you already know what office hours is. So to quickly summarize, instead of chasing courses or certifications, please rely on documentation. They have everything you need to know for free, available for public. Point number 2, build the habit of being visible to the right set of people. See, even if you're writing amazing case studies, regularly posting on Medium and LinkedIn, if it is only your friends who you're connected with on Instagram and LinkedIn, how does it even matter? Your friends are not going to give you a job. So you need to be visible in the radar of the right set of people. Now, when I say be visible, what students do is they end up messaging a lot of senior designers saying, sir, I need UX guidance. Ma'am, I need an internship. Folks, that will never ever work. This is absolutely not sustainable. What you need to do is you need to go on Medium, read articles written by other UX designers, other design companies and agencies, understand what they're doing, learn from their processes and write your own case studies on Medium. Then you need to create your own Notion portfolio. What do I mean by that? In Notion, you can actually put hyperlinks of your Medium case studies and create a resume sort of a thing. On Notion, you can release it on public. So you can publish a Notion page, you'll get a hyperlink. Anytime you post something on Medium, make sure that you post it on LinkedIn. Now the question is, how do you get connected to the right set of people on LinkedIn? Keep a very close eye on all the top design conferences, design meetups, design events, design talks, both offline and online. Anytime you find someone interesting, consume their talk and make pointers of what they were teaching. Then go to their LinkedIn and send a request to connect with add a note. This is a premium LinkedIn feature. When you're writing this note, make sure you pick some elements from whatever it is that you've learned from their content, whether you saw their talk or attended a lecture, whatever it is. The note has to be personalized. The note has to make sense. Please don't write something like, I need guidance. Please make sure you don't ask any questions to these seniors that can be available on YouTube or Google, right? This is a very important litmus test that I regularly share with students, that when you have the opportunity to send a message, please don't waste it. Please don't ask questions that you can already get answers of from YouTube or Google. When you consistently connect with people on LinkedIn for at least 6 to 8 months, and when in parallel you spend your time writing your case studies well, eventually people will start noticing you, because anytime you post something on LinkedIn, now you're in the radar of the right set of people. Now, when it comes to right set of people, it's not just designers, it's also design managers, it's also VPs, it's also CEOs and managing directors, it's also CEOs of companies that are VC backed and are just starting out, so they have funds to hire good people, and they also have the appetite to actually sit down and understand what you are trying to do. Apart from that, you can always get connected to all the design studios and design agencies and HR recruiters. So people only target the senior designers of a specific company, forgetting that a lot of this homework and all of this fielding is actually done by the HR and the people operations of every single company. To summarize this point, please make sure you're visible to the right set of people on LinkedIn, and this list is not just about designers or VPs, but also about CEOs of new startups, design recruiters, HR managers, design agencies, and studios. Point number 3, design for function first, then aesthetic. A lot of designers, when they're just starting out, they get very excited by seeing all of these visual inspirations, and when they join a startup, because they're dealing with all beginners, even the CEOs and managers don't really know how to direct it, so they get excited and they start making things that focus more on the aesthetics and not on the functionality. When that happens, you lose track, because things that are very, very good looking with a lot of fancy graphics are actually very difficult to scale and implement, so you end up wasting a lot of bandwidth doing things that really don't matter when you're just starting out. You need to make sure that when you're designing, you keep efficiency, problem solving, and systems, these things on priority, and you're not just about making things look pretty, but you're about setting the right systems, the right foundations, your palettes, typography, spacing, your button system, your input systems, making things functional. But this is on the UI component side of things. You also need to make sure that you're solving the right problems, that you're actually solving the pain points first, and we'll come to this point later on. But please make sure that when you're discussing ideas within your teams, within your project managers, please make sure that you have 5 problems in front of you and you stick to those 5 problems for one single quarter, and within those 5 problems you ask yourself, which is that one major problem that would be the highest pain point for the customer. Please talk to your customers before you set your priorities. Please make sure that you don't invest a lot of time solving multiple problems at once. I know you're in a new startup, you have a lot of energy on your hands, but folks, trust me, please prioritize and solve one problem end to end at one time. Point number 4, start consuming good experiences. Now, this is something that requires a lot of capital, so you can't really do this when you're just starting your career, but if you've been earning well, if you've been making some money from your freelancing, I would recommend you to start hanging out in places where you can consume good experiences. So for example, when I was in Bangalore, I was all alone. My parents are in Delhi, so when I went to Bangalore, I used to spend my weekends going into coffee shop and hotels and good restaurants, and I didn't used to spend a lot of money. I just used to like dress up and just notice how big brands are curating their experiences. So for me, going into the shopping mall without any agenda is the best time pass ever, because I would go into shopping malls and figure out, why are they using this copy, why are they using this color, why is this toy made in this specific way, why this layout of the store has been designed in this specific way. So the thing is, I'm not restricting myself to experiences on the app side of things, but I'm also consuming experiences that are in the real world, right? Experiences that are more expensive, more well curated, because then my eyes started recognizing the tiny details. Because when I started consuming higher experiences, people used to sell me those experiences, used to give me stories and narrations and take me through this user journey, and I used to make a note of all these things, because I used to think that, dude, if this guy is charging so much of money for such a simple thing, how can I replicate the same in the virtual world? How can I replicate the same lessons in apps, right? So the thing is, you can't replicate really good experiences unless you are an active consumer of great experiences. So to summarize it, you cannot create good designs unless you yourself have consumed and digested good design. And when I say digested, it's not just about buying things and just spending money. It is also about being in that experience, being fully aware of what is making this experience stand out. So you need to have a checklist in your brain and be very observant when you're out there in the real world. On point number 5, start learning from successes of other applications and stop wasting too much time figuring out what people have done wrong. And don't just restrict yourself to app inspiration. If you see a good movie, figure out what they have done well. If you find a good FMCG business that is very, very profitable, figure out what they did well. Because the first principles of user experience remain the same, right? User experience is not just about apps, it is literally about consuming any product. And the thing is, when you broaden your net, when you broaden up this sphere of knowledge, when you start picking clues from multiple worlds, the output that you get in the end is very, very high, right? But coming back to the main topic, a lot of people worry too much about seeing what other people are doing wrong. I would recommend you to pick only successful apps that you and your friends and your family members use, and just start picking things that have worked really well for them. And then also find patterns between multiple applications and figure out how can we implement these in our applications, because you don't have to reinvent the wheel, right? So please take inspiration from real, profitable, successful applications that actually work, that are actually loved by people, and not these rare applications that might look really good or fancy but they're actually not very profitable. Because as a designer, it's not just about making things look pretty, it's also about understanding the business side of things, because in the end, it is the business that funds all of your operations. And at the very end, on point number 6, I would recommend you to please don't ask for opportunities, but instead optimize to attract better opportunities. Now, what do I mean by that? This one is slightly nuanced, but I'm pretty sure that you will get some part of it if you've seen my previous videos. So the thing is, we've been uploading some videos that are under this Improve Your Life playlist, right? And I'm gonna dig deeper into this point because this point is the most overlooked one. So when it comes to selling your services, right, as a freelancer, as a consultant, or even as a person who's doing a job, it's not just about the experiences you design, it is also about the experience of working with you. When I was in college, I was extremely shy, extremely underconfident. In fact, I have documented my entire journey on this podcast called Take It Easy. If you haven't heard about it, I will share the link in description. The thing is that when I was noticing people who were really, really successful than me, I realized that it's not just about them being very good at what they do, but it's also about who they know, how they pitch, how they persuade other people, and their own charisma. Simply because they had more charisma, they could close better deals just because they were smooth talkers, just because they carried themselves well, just because they knew what to say, when to say, how to listen. More people started associating with them. More people started hanging out with them. And I'll tell you how this works, right? You can do a lot of things in life. Most people around you would be doing things to impress the masses, like wearing a specific set of clothes, or maybe partying, or showing off their latest phone, cars, whatever it is. And it is very easy to impress the majority. It is very, very easy to impress 80% of the people. But you will not get maximum returns if you impress those 80%. You need to figure out what is the top 10% looking for. And the top 10% is looking for efficiency, for strong people, for smart people. If you're really good at what you do and you're positioned well either on the internet or offline. Now, what do I mean by that? If you're in a city which is not Delhi, Mumbai, Bangalore, Hyderabad, if you're in a smaller city, it is very, very important that you double down on your social presence, because then internet will work for you. However, if you're in Bangalore, Delhi, Mumbai, Kolkata, Hyderabad, and all of these big cities, you need to figure out if you can work in a good office, or if you can just work out of a co-working space where you can find like-minded people, or if you can go to design hackathons, or even normal hackathons, or meetups, or events. Just position yourself in the right set of people, because step number 1 is becoming very good at what you do. Step number 2 is knowing who to sell to, because if you're very good and you're sitting in your house and nobody knows about you, it is absolutely useless. Step number 3 is charisma. So this is something that you need to work on in parallel with your design skills. So when I was starting out, I never cared about how I spoke, how I looked, how my clothes looked, because I thought my skill will sell itself. My talent will sell itself. It is not my face or my charisma, it is my talent. The thing is, obviously, you can 100% get there with just your talent. But I'm saying, if you can use these mental biases, if you can use the opposite person's perception, why not just use these things to your own advantage, right? So we've made a very detailed playlist called Improve Your Life. I've already mentioned it before. If you don't know anything about user experience, I've made a very detailed playlist which has 15 episodes on user experience design in both Hindi and in English. And folks, a very important part of this checklist is knowing how to use the latest tools, the latest subscriptions to your advantage. So I have always delivered high quality work, not because I am born a genius. It's because I know where to find my inspiration from. It's because I invest heavily into subscriptions that save a lot of my time. I am up to date with all the latest AI tools, so I know that if I'm doing this task, these are the places where I can fit in an AI tool and automate a lot of my mundane tasks. I have been uploading so many free videos on both ChatGPT and Midjourney company, and if you're a creative professional, even if you're not a creative professional, these videos can save so much of time for you. So yeah, I think that these are 6 pointers that very few people talk about, and if you were to create a checklist of these, I think they will really help you get ahead of, if not 99%, it'll surely help you get ahead of a long list of people. Now, everything that I spoke about right now was more towards like theory and mental aspects. There are some practical hands-on mistakes that I see a lot of designers committing again and again. So I've put these mistakes into 3 buckets. On bucket number 1 is your inability to define the problem statement. So the issue is that anytime a junior designer comes into a company, that designer is very underconfident. So she would blindly accept whatever tasks are thrown at her. Now the thing is that I always recommend folks to either work with really experienced or wise people, or at least work with people who understand design. Now, if as a beginner, you don't have enough references, you don't have your theory strong, you don't understand how mental models work, you will not be able to debate with your PMs or your CEO, right? Because anything that they throw at you, you'll be like, okay, fine, let's just solve this, right? Without questioning them, because you don't have any proof to say something that questions their argument. So what you need to do is, first of all, strengthen your theory, right? There's growth design, there's build for Mars. I have made so many videos on UX psychology. You need to put your theory at test and make sure that you are up to date with whatever good companies are doing. And then as soon as you get a problem statement in your own company, ask questions. Don't just blindly accept what they throw at you, and make sure you define the problem statement very clearly. When I say define the problem statement, you need to understand what is the pain of your customer. What is the customer looking for? What are the disadvantages of using this approach? What are the advantages of using this approach? And if I had to summarize the entire problem statement with my user persona in 2 or 3 sentences, how would I do that? Now, because we have limited time in this video, I won't go too deep into it because I've already created a lot of content on this. The 15 episode course that we have uploaded on our YouTube covers this entirely. But I just wanted to make sure that you guys understand the importance of defining the problem statement before you start the project. So for each of these buckets, I've created a checklist, and I will put the checklist in the description below. Before you start your projects, before you apply for your jobs, please make sure that you follow this checklist. So we're done with category number 1. Let's come to category 2 of mistakes, which is around students not having enough websites to take inspiration from. I can't believe it that even after so many free resources on the internet, designers just directly start designing on the Figma canvases. Folks, it doesn't matter how confident you are, it doesn't matter what brand identity you have in place, whatever inspiration you've collected, you need to have at least 11 to 12 applications just for references. And I'm not just talking about throwing screenshots, right? So we've uploaded some very detailed videos on how you can write your case studies, and within that I share how I organize my inspiration, right? So it's not just about throwing screenshots, you need to put them in a specific flow. I have header components where you know that within this application, what is this flow talking about? What is the good part about this? What is the bad part about this? You need to organize your inspiration, and I will share a list of websites in the description that will give you inspiration for UX, for your UI, for landing pages, for inspiration across multiple domains. All of it is available for free. Some of them are paid, but you don't have to go through all the paid resources, right? If you can afford it, well and good. I use Mobin, I use SaaS interface, I use page flows. So these are the 3 subscriptions that I have paid for. But at least build a habit of spending at least 2 to 3 days just collecting inspiration. Otherwise, you will waste a lot of time reinventing the wheel. So even for this specific category, I've made a checklist. So this checklist covers some important hands-on topics as well. So make sure you cover those before you start your project. The last category of mistakes are around not knowing Figma. Now, I have regularly mentioned this mistake again and again, but I thought it's just worth saying it out loud. That folks, as I said in the first point, you need to go through Figma's documentation and the office hours playlist to understand how the tool works. I meet so many designers who have even 1 year of experience, but they're still not learning variables, still not learning auto layout, still not learning how libraries and styles work. Their excuse is that we don't have the paid version of Figma. I don't think that's a very valid excuse. You can always invest in a paid model. You can always ask your company to invest in a paid model. You can have the base plan, the pro plan. I think it's called the pro plan. You should totally get that. And folks, you need to understand how libraries, styles, components, auto layouts, variables, all of these basics work. I would strongly recommend you to strengthen your Figma theory first, because if you don't know how the tool works, how will you implement your knowledge? So yes, that was a pretty long video of me compiling all the major mistakes and important pointers that you can use to get ahead of 99% of other designers. If you're here for the first time, make sure you click on subscribe and hit the bell icon because we will be uploading some very cool videos, not just on mobile design, but also on spatial design, which is designing apps for the Apple Vision Pro. We've already released some episodes. They are on YouTube right now. You will absolutely love them. Apart from UX, we've been creating some very cool videos on AI tools like ChatGPT and Midjourney, so do check them out as well. Let me know in the comments section if there's something specific you want me to cover. We've already uploaded videos on writing a UX case study, reaching out to recruiters. This is one specific video which is insider tips on getting a high-paying UX design job that also gives you a step-by-step roadmap on cracking good internships and good jobs even in India and abroad. With that being said, I hope that you're taking care of your mind and body. This is your dost Ansh Mehra signing out. If you like this video, make sure you click on like and hit the subscribe button. I regularly upload videos on UX design, marketing and storytelling.